A labyrinth is an ancient spiritual tool. It is a contemplative walk-in meditation for anyone who steps onto it. Don't worry, there are no wrong turns or dead ends. This is what makes a labyrinth different from a maze. As folks follow the circular path, they're given an opportunity to move from the realm of achievement, where we spend so much of our lives, to the realm of acceptance, where grace and forgiveness have more sway. In the words of St. Augustine, solvitur ambulando, it is solved by walking. My name is Will Hinton, and this is a short film about the Louisburg College Labyrinth, which was built during the summer of 2011. The story of our labyrinth begins down at the Tar River, which winds its way through Franklin County. The county was named for author, printer, scientist, inventor, and statesman Benjamin Franklin, who was our nation's first ambassador to France. The county seat was located on the Tar River at the joining of several Native American trading routes and was named Louisburg after King Louis XVI of France. The founders of the village of Louisburg reserved the highest elevation above the river as a town commons area to be used for education. That commons area is located about a half mile to the north and about 100 feet in elevation above the river. By 1787, an academy was built on that parcel of land, which would be the genesis of Louisburg College. The Louisburg College Labyrinth is located in front of the Robbins Library, which is in the heart of that campus. The Tar River is a watery path that wanders through the Piedmont of North Carolina from Louisburg to Rocky Mount to Greenville, on towards Washington and the Pamlico Sound. Its meandering route was formed by nature long before any human contact was made, and this ancient river calls to mind the paths of our own lives. Sometimes in our life, we're able to choose the path that we walk on. At other times, we find ourselves confronted with journeys down paths which are not of our making. Our Louisburg College Labyrinth is a symbol of these paths. All right. Well, good morning, everybody. Today is Thursday, May the 27th. We're a little over 2 weeks into the project. This is the scale drawing that I've done of the Louisburg Labyrinth, and what you're looking at is about 39 feet, 40 feet from here to here. Everything that's the red color is the brick, and these paths are cast cement. So if you look over here, the inside, this rosette that we're doing this pattern, I've taken that and I've blown it up to life size, and it's the size of these white boards. And then within this rosette, I've gone around and you can see the shape of this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these panels and cut brick out, sort of as a pattern, a template. And then these will form the central part of our labyrinth. And what we're doing this morning is actually measuring these concentric rings around the pattern. So what I've done to do that with is I've made this a radius. And you understand that this is a 17-inch path, then 8 inches of brick, then 17-inch path, and 8 inches of brick. So what I've done is I've measured from the center, and I've made these marks 17, 8 around the radius. And once I made that mark, I just came down here with a carpenter square and marked that on the concrete. So now what I'll do is I'll take a small little piece of wood as a sort of a temporary sort of guide to where that pencil is going to be when it goes down to cement. And I'll take that and get it square and tap that in and tap it in. Then from there, I'm taking this pencil and putting it on that spot and then making a mark. So it sort of makes itself. So if the labyrinth is a meditative walking tool, and certainly this radius is a tool that we can make these concentric rings. So after I go around that, you can see you can start to see now how these bricks will form that path that goes all the way around, and this brick will form that all the way around. So today's work is to get the drawing done and move from the scale to life size. Okay? Okay. What I'm finding is that I take these what I'm going to call skew backs and put one like this and one like this and put them together. So I put those together. Then I put one straight to the side. Then I take the two that I've got cut, something like this, and put one piece to the side. So now it's actually twice as many cut. It's cut, straight. Cut, straight. Cut, straight. Instead of cut, straight, cut, straight. So that's how I'm working my way around the circle. So what I do is I take this, I'm taking this thin set mortar straight out of the bucket here, and I'm putting it next to these bricks that I already have thin set mortar down. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want to create a mechanical bond between this layer of concrete and the concrete that I'm going to pour on top of this. And another thing it does is this thin set mortar is the strongest stuff. It's got so much acrylic in it that it physically bonds the brick in place. So it has sort of like a backstop effect on the brick. So it's working laterally on the brick to hold that in place. And it's also working mechanically up and down with the layer that I pour on top of it. So then after they're dry cut, and I move them over here on the boards, and then I butter them, put the mortar on the slab, and it stays wet enough that I can adjust them some. And after I go over and be sure they're in the right place, and I've got this little tamper, and I go over them with this. And so what's happened is we figured out when we made the piece that since it was coming into the library, that we needed some, when people were walking by and looking at it, it'd be nice if we made a gateway right there. So we're going to take out an 8-foot section of the wall, and these pieces are going to cap the wall on each side. So we'll have a column here and a column there, and we'll come up about 8 inches. That seemed like a natural entryway. So it's nice that the thing sort of asked for a door. We're going to cut a door there, and then people walking by on the sidewalk will be able to come in there. All right? I'm putting these anchor screws in to the concrete pad, and that's going to mechanically hold this layer on top. And I'm using these 1/4 inch by 2 3/4 inch screws, and I'm using a hammer drill and drilling a hole, and then I'm putting these in with a socket driver. So let's do these 2 holes. After I get the holes drilled, I come back with a socket driver. So it just screws these things into the concrete, and they have these threads on them that cut through the concrete. So here we go. And you'll see what I'm doing is I'm leaving them about 1.25 inches high. Because when I leave them like that, this next layer of concrete is going to grab hold of that head. And so I've got a couple things mechanically looking at the concrete. I've got mortar on the backs of the bricks that'll sort of stabilize it east-west. And these screws that are about every 4 feet that'll bind it north side. This is an epoxy sealer that I'm putting on top of this thin set, on top of this concrete, so that the surface coat will bond. I got to keep this concrete off the brick, and I've gone through different manners of doing it, but it looks like the easiest way to keep that concrete off the brick is just to use this duct tape and plastic. So you look right around that edge, you can see it down there. Now, this is the first labyrinth I've ever been involved with building, but my understanding of a genuine concept of acceptance was taught to me 20 years ago by a friend of mine named Tom. He's 89, and his story of the Trailways bus prayer has supported me through many anxious paths I find myself on over the years, and I want to share it with you. Here it is. One morning over coffee, Tom said, "Hey, Will, just imagine for a moment that your wife and daughter were driving back from New Jersey, and that old car y'all have broke down outside of Philadelphia. The cost of repairs, was more than what the car was worth. Pat calls you to tell you the bad news, and then she gets tickets on a Trailways bus, which will arrive in Raleigh late that evening. That afternoon, you're watching a basketball game or something on TV, and you see there's been a horrible accident on Interstate 95 around Richmond, and a Trailways bus bound for Raleigh, North Carolina, was in the middle of it all. Half the riders on the bus have been killed. Well, what do you pray for, Will? Now that was a perplexing question to me 20 years ago. First, I was confronted with the selfishness of my own thoughts, which were either to hope that it was a different bus or to hope that my family members were in the half of the riders that had survived. Was this a trick question? Over several days, I would come to realize that the only prayer I could really offer was to pray to realize that I had the strength to deal with whatever had happened. Events were simply out of my control. Now, for me, this was a prayer of acceptance. And this is the grind that building the labyrinth has grown out of for me. The only sure experience concerning walking the labyrinth is that it'll be different every time you walk it, and different for each person on their journey. In the words of the Apostle Paul, we walk by faith and not by sight. We really appreciate your time, and we look forward to your visit. Thank you so much.